Welcome, Solara here. I hope you guys are doing well today. I'm just coming here quickly to do a blackout message. My week has been really crazy. I've been away and I just got back last night. And so it's been a little bit difficult for me to do what it was I wanted to do in the sense of sharing the downloads I've been receiving over the past week with the collective. I also needed that time to rest, and I hope you guys are all doing the same right now, because we're in some very, very deep transformative waters and energies that I'm going to briefly speak about today. Okay, so quick announcement before I get into today's message. If there are any people who are still interested in joining me for today's group check-in session, I will leave the information for that below. We begin at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Saturday, July the 13th. This is my group check-in session with live card pull and personal guidance, and the focus right now is Karmic Family Recovery as we continue our journey through what my guides are calling a portal of deletion that we are coming up to through next week's full moon in Capricorn, which is expressing itself at that 29 degree, what they call in astrology, anoretic degree, which is also a degree of Leo. We're going to get into a little bit of that in today's message. So if you'd like to join me today with a group of other like-minded individuals as we journey through these energies, and you want personal guidance from me, you can still do so. If you're interested in joining me for tomorrow's exploration of your sun and moon sign and your birth chart through my accessing it with TAROTSTROLOgy for you to give you information of your contracts with your father, your mother, the false matrix, the wounding, and most importantly, the resurrection, and what you came here to do and to live in accordance with your cosmological truth and identity. You may do so still. It's a very small group. It's the smallest TAROTSTROLOGY group I'm hosting yet because I'm looking at two placements, the sun and the moon, and the story behind your sun and moon in your chart as we exit the sun being in Cancer, which is ruled by the moon, and we enter into the sun in Leo, which of course is the sign ruled by the sun. So that event is happening tomorrow, which is Sunday, July 14th, and there are still tickets available for that. I will leave that information also in the description box below. But without further ado, I want to get into today's message because I can't be here for too long. Welcome all of you who are here for the first time. Welcome to those of you who are returning. Thank you to my subscribers and supporters. I really do appreciate all the ways that you show up and you assist me to be who it is I came here to be. In this ascension and in this transition into a golden age. Okay, so I have some downloads here. I'm going to get into them. So the title for today's message is Getting to the Root, the Seed of the Father and the Soil of the Mother. So as we enter, and I've been writing about this in my Substack, for those of you who are patrons, you've already heard me talk about this. But as we enter into the third decan of Cancer season, we are in Four of Cups energy. And because energy is not static, it doesn't have a definitive beginning or end. Every time you enter into the final decan of a sign, the door to the sign that is following begins to open and themes begin to bleed through. And there's a union of energies within this decan where there's a mix and there is a very specific theme and medicine that is there for us to rise in accordance with the mixing of these energies. Now, many of you know that Cancer season is very much about mother wound healing, and Leo season is actually very much to do with father wound healing. And so once we enter into the third decan of Cancer, we begin to deal with all of the ways our fathers either assisted our mothers in their ability to properly nurture us into our wholeness, or were detrimental to that. And we begin to heal that part of our story and how it showed up for us because of that as we move into more focused father wound healing in Leo season. And of course, We all have different stories. We're all at different junctures. And every time a planet transits through Cancer and then Leo, we have the opportunity to hone in on various themes in accordance with the cycles, what those transits are doing. And right now, because we're in ascension, these stories are coming up for deletion. Okay, so very important that you recognize, you understand and overstand this, because the energies right now are high, because anytime something is being cleared out, there will always be a return of the energy and the theme and the story that wants it not to happen, because it's become very comfortable existing and it doesn't want to be shifted, moved, transitioned, challenged, or changed. Okay, so we have been clearing out a lot of these stories and woundings for the past few years when it comes to do with our karmic families, especially through that full moon in Capricorn that occurred in 2022, which actually dawned the end of the contracts that we had with these families. But it was up to us then to disentangle ourselves from the energies that would keep us now choosing to opt in to more cycles with them. And now, and I've been talking about this for a while, I've been talking about it for the past couple of weeks, about the importance of the fact that we have these two full moons in Capricorn bookending the new moon in Cancer that occurred about a week ago and happening at the opening and closing degrees of the sign. So in other words, we had the full moon in Capricorn 3 weeks ago, the first full moon in Capricorn at 1 degree. And then we've been working through that energy until we get to next week's full moon in Capricorn, which is occurring at 29 degrees. Now, the full moon, the 1 degree mark is a degree of Aries, and the 29 degree mark is a degree of Leo, which is showing us that the energies that we're clearing are deeply rooted in what has the family energies and the material contracts within the false matrix that have stymied and kept us from being able to reconnect, first and foremost, to the fullness of our I am truth, or our genius, because you can look at it that way too. We all have a genius, a sense of divine genius that is expressed through the Aries, which is our alignment with the true mind of God in accordance with who we are. In other words, once we enter into that state of genius, personal genius, divine I am truth, we can no longer be fucked with. And then through Leo, we access the heart of God, the ability to act upon that wisdom and knowledge and to go for it. And so we've been going through this portal since the full moon in Capricorn at 1 degree, that's taking us to the end of the full moon in Capricorn at 29 degree, where the truth of who we are can no longer be stymied by these old energies that were designed to bind us in the false matrix, unless we personally allow them to, or opt in to another cycle with them. And we do that by falling into stories that don't support our I am truth, okay? And that doesn't mean that the minute we do that, or we make a mistake, or we fail, quote unquote fail, which you can't, that happens. We are here in an immense portal of grace also as we relearn who we are. But it does mean that the purpose of this portal of time is designed to help us delete these energies, delete the seeds of these energies, and to clear the soil that allowed for these fake stories and personas, lies and spells to continually proliferate and overtake our truth and our timelines. So if you know anything about biology, you know that the father is the one who provides the seed, right? That then enters into the egg, bringing information, and then the egg begins to take that information, and based upon that, the cells divide, and we are able to come into the wholeness of being. So the mother provides this egg that has to be broken by the seed of information that comes through the father energy. And then the mother also provides the soil that supports that story. And any story she also chooses to sow into that soil based upon the dynamic, especially that she shares with the Father. Okay, so as a divine being, when things are in alignment, we are supposed to be parented by beings who are channeling the truth of the divine Father and Mother and are presenting that to us in corporeal form so that we as the divine children can rise into our divinity without obstruction. In other words, our parents' true divine contracts to us were to help us to rise into our wholeness so we would never be open to being energy harvested to begin with. Okay, but now, and for those of you who have been rolling with me for a while, you know I spoke about this a lot, especially in videos last Leo and Cancer season. When you come into this planet, your whole galactic history is laid out and you are chosen which bloodline to incarnate into in accordance with what it is they need to do to stop you from ascending and waking up. So in other words, especially as we came closer to these ascension gateways, those of us who were incarnating onto this planet were very purposely and purposefully put into families and parentages where these beings were literally our enemies in the spirit. And that was designed in order that we would be beaten down enough spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and some of us physically, so that we wouldn't be able to rise into the frequency that opens up the remembrance for us to break free. It was also designed so that we would become big energy harvesting targets, because the more you're a higher frequency being entering this planet, the more light you hold, the more wisdom you hold, the more food you have available for these energies and entities that ran the false matrix to feed off of. So as such, they want you in a predicament and a situation with a group of people who are constantly lowering your frequency by keeping you stuck in trauma, right? By keeping you stuck in fear, guilt, and shame and self-rejection. As they reject you, you mirror that back because you're a holographic being designed to mirror things back, you know, and then also you don't know this about yourself, but you do it naturally. So as these beings in your family were constantly rejecting, ridiculing, shaming you, you began to internalize that and do it to yourself. And for as long as you were doing that to yourself, you couldn't rise into the frequency necessary to wake up and to be able to break yourself out of the karmic cycles that had you beholden to the false matrix and to get out. And so your karmic families work as agents that are here to keep you open to energy harvesting and to keep dragging you into the karmic cycles that allow for you to be harvested. Okay, and every time they did that, or every time they do that, they are rewarded in the false matrix. They are rewarded. They are brought up in the algorithm. They are rewarded success, promotions, trinkets, everything that in the false matrix we were taught to believe made us something. Okay, and this happens as part, it's not even, while some of them were very deeply involved in these programs, these covens, these orders, these societies, etc., while a lot of these energies flow through those groups very powerfully, understand and overstand that the false matrix was a computer program and system that was automatically designed to reward those who open up energy-rich beings to energy harvesting. It was just a part of their algorithm. Okay, so right now, what we've been doing for the past few years is, as we became aware of this information, we've been dealing with the wounds within ourselves, where we constantly betrayed ourselves by believing the lies that these other beings were filling us with, so that we take on these false personas and we wouldn't enter and access our I am truth, our Aries energy, our genius, our divine mind. We wouldn't be able to access that, And without our divine mind, we can't really walk in accordance with our heart. We need both together, working in balance. And that's where the Libran energy comes in to help us with this. We need both of them together to walk in cohesion with self, in order to actualize our truth on these earth planes, and therefore to break the power of the karmic cycles and to enter into our true divine timelines. So we've been doing a lot of purging of the stories and the ways we were allowing these stories to proliferate and create our realities unconsciously and unknowingly. And now we're entering into a portal of deletion, where our Akashics over the past, while we've been in this portal especially, have been being rigorously updated, and the old energies, the ones that infiltrated our Akashics and were having a direct effect on the timelines we therefore were creating and living in, are now being deleted. And as that happens, of course, the energies that want to keep you stuck so that you can continue to be bait in these karmic cycles and in these energy harvesting shenanigans of the false matrix are coming up. But where they're coming up the most, because we're dealing with Cancer season, is in the emotional body especially, and how we link to our karmic families. So many of you might have been dealing with this energy in different polarities. On the one hand, your family is disgusting you so much to the point where you're getting so fed up that you know you've got to break free. Now, this is a wonderful place to be, but you got to wield that power powerfully so that it doesn't make you feel like you're stuck in a cage that you'll never get out of, because then you feed the story and the belief tenets that are needed to actually keep you stuck. Because what you believe right now, you're creating very powerfully. So that's on the one hand. On the other hand, some of you may have been feeling more drawn back to these beings and not really getting why. Oh, I need to forgive them. Oh, I need to work it out. Oh, maybe things are different. These are all themes and stories that are going to come up in Cancer season. And here's the thing. You cannot reconcile with beings whose prime purpose in this lifetime has been to keep you at war with yourself. And I tell you it's their prime purpose, not because that's who they are divinely or what it is that they actually came here to do divinely, but it is what they've chosen to opt into. They've chosen the false matrix. They've chosen the trinkets of it. They've chosen all the things that support the proliferation of the false matrix principles. And as such, they will forever, for as long as they're choosing that, be an enemy to you. They will forever be seeking, in sometimes conscious, but oftentimes very unconscious ways also, to drag you under in order that you become the food that is harvested through these the false matrix energy harvesting complex. So you become harvested so that they can reap the rewards of selling you out. That's how it works. So right now we're at a critical moment. Those anaretic degrees are critical degrees. Okay, so the first full moon in Capricorn occurred at an anaretic degree, a critical degree. The last full moon in Capricorn happening next week is happening at a critical or an anaretic degree. It's showing you that the beginning and the end, the possibility for all that exists in between those things, it can be removed, it can be cleared. Okay, not for nothing, when you're dealing with Cancerian energy, because you're dealing with the foundational point of many of our stories, the motherboard, it also has a very powerful void energy, the ability to void things out. It is the darkness of the womb, it is the darkness of the void, where all things come to be born and all things come to die. Okay? Cancer energy carries that very succinctly, as does Scorpio. Okay? And they work in different ways. Okay, so right now there is this big window of opportunity to allow for these stories to die within you. I'm not saying all of a sudden when the full moon in Capricorn happens that all of a sudden your life is going to shift magnanimously. For some of you, it might. It really might. I don't put anything, and I will never say anything is impossible. And the more you're able to navigate your own emotions through this, the more you will be able to timeline jump. But I am saying that in order for you to bring forth these new timelines, these old stories and all of their holds must now be deleted. And this energy window is allowing for that to happen. Now, the significance of this full moon in Capricorn occurring also at the closing degree of the sign at 29 degrees, which is also a degree of Leo, as the sun gets ready to enter into Leo at 0 degrees, is very significant because we are being set up for a new moon in Leo that's occurring on August the 4th at 12 degrees that is completely getting ready to flip our stories. The 12 is connected to the Hanged One, the inversion. The inversion has already been flipped in the collective energies, although it hasn't fully been materialized because it must be materialized through us. And so through this new moon in Leo, the inversion is flipping within us, and it's going to begin to be materialized in real time. And as that happens for us in our individual energy fields, that's what's bringing forth the collective change and shift. Okay, so to go into my notes a little bit more, right now, the seeds of family dysfunction that were planted for your destruction are being entirely plucked out, and the soil that supported the growth of these fake stories is being brought back into a place of neutrality and what is nutritionally substantive to what it is that your new stories are going to grow. Your true divine blueprints and your ability to actualize those, which would be your gold prints. So you have the ability to connect with the blueprint. That is the plan. But the bringing forth of the plan, materializing it, comes through your solar plexus, your gold print, okay, your golden energies. And this is why, and I've spoken about this before, at every turn, your karmic family's main desire was to have control over your will and your emotions through your solar plexus and sacral chakras. Your sacral chakra is over what it is that you birth and bring forth into the world for yourself. And if your solar plexus is tampered and tuned into the will of other beings, then what you begin to birth in your reality reflects what it is that they want for you, as opposed to what it is that you want in accordance with who you actually are and what you actually deserve. Your karmic families are enemies of your states. And again, they're not enemies because they're bad people. They're enemies because they are souls that have chosen to go against themselves. And anytime a soul chooses to go against themselves, they open themselves up to energy harvesting and to be used by the energy harvesting complexes and agendas of the false matrix. So because they are actually a literal danger to themselves, they become a danger to everyone. It's not a character thing per se, although I'm sure some of these beings did horrible, evil things to you. But the point of the matter is, this is it across the board. And this means also, and let's be real about this, that when you and I were living in ways where we were living contrary to our truth, and we were therefore a danger and hazard to ourselves, we also were a danger and hazard to those that we drew into our personal energy too. It goes both ways. If your family is a karmic to you, even as you rise and choose your divinity, you still to some extent remain an enemy to them. Now, what's interesting about this is for as long as you are operating in the karmic energies that they are feeding you, you actually are a karmic to them. As you rise into your truth and you take back your power, even as you strip them of everything they've taken from you, you are opening yourself up to your divine contracts with them, because in doing so, you actually are now kicking into gear their greater ability to rise into their divinity too, should they choose to do so. And it's at this stage, when you begin to rise into your power, that you begin to see how many beings actually harbor this deep self-hatred and self-destruction programming, to the point where they will destroy you before they will face up to what it is they need to do to rise, because they don't want to break out of that self-destruction. They are thoroughly programmed against themselves. So your family of origin, your karmic families, for as long as they are operating in karmic states and they are aligning with the agendas and the programs of the false matrix, they are designed to open you up to be harvested. Okay? And every time you shut them down in their attempts, your true rewards and resources are given back to you. And every time they are able to shut you down in your attempt to rise into your power, they get false trinkets, rewards from the false matrix. So this is why many of you might be living and seeing that as you rise into your power, these beings are losing their hold and the things that once came to them so easily in the false matrix, because the reason they were getting these things, the contracts, the accolades, the money, whatever it is that they were getting, because it ran the gamut. There were so many ways that the false matrix would reward these beings for keeping you in a lower frequency. As you raise your frequency and you keep yourself stable and rising, then you will see that the doors that once upon a time opened them to these rewards in the false matrix are closing rapidly in their faces, because they are failing to deliver you as a source of food. Okay, so the important thing to know is that this is a portal of deletion, where the players and patterns that kept you open to being siphoned are being deleted from your timelines as you allow that to happen by staying in your high frequency and choosing to go higher, as opposed to falling into the trap of believing the old stories about yourself, or the old stories that positioned you in a place energetically, whether it was spiritually, mentally, emotionally, or even physically, those energies that allowed for you to be, for it to be open season on your energy field. So the most important thing right now is holding your frequency and your truth in the midst of this. And the more you're able to do that, the stronger and the more powerful the ability for this portal to delete these things from you very rapidly. Now, please understand and overstand, portals don't operate in the time that we deal with here on this planet. In other words, just because the full moon in Capricorn is occurring next week, it doesn't mean that you have to get everything done by then. It means that you must utilize this energy, and as you continue to make good use of it, it will continue to be open to you until you finish what it is you came here to do with these beings. Okay, I want to be real with you, because there's a lot of misinformation about how these portals work. The portals work for as long as you tune into them and you're using them wisely. They don't just close out on dates. You continue to have access. Okay, the only ones that lose access to the energy of portals are those who misuse it, misappropriate it, or don't rise into its function. And then when the dates of the energies begin to wane out, the power of them collectively, they no longer have access to it. I hope that makes sense. So that's what I have for you. This is a pretty quick message for me. It's just 30 minutes long, but I really wanted to come here and share that with you, especially as the past 2 days, it's been very intense, and it will continue to be this way as we move up to next Sunday's full moon in Capricorn, because it's time to let go of a lot of the emotional energies, those deep subconscious energies that are not only tied to these beings in the timelines in which you've experienced with them in this lifetime, but go back for many of you all the way to the previous golden age, where these are the players and the souls who opened you up to energy harvesting to begin with. The same way an energy enters is the same way it must leave. So many of you knowingly incarnated into families and bloodlines with your main karmic enemies, because these are the beings who sold you out at the beginning and opened you up to be harvested in the false matrix, which is why these energies are so tricky. But you've got to know that what it is you know about that is what is more important than the feelings that are wanting to arise right now to kind of submerge you and take you under. There's depression that's coming forth right now. There's sadness, there's grief, and that's okay to grieve what it is that you've lost in the time and even in the love that you've given to these beings and the way you placed your hope in them time and time again, and your trust. It's okay to acknowledge this. Please acknowledge it, because in order for it to be cleared, it must be felt. Okay, in order for it to go back into the void of recycling, it must be acknowledged and handed over. So you must go through the deep process of clearing, grieving, acknowledging. Okay, so that's all I have for you today. I hope that this was helpful, especially for those of you who found your energy, dropping recently and you don't get why, especially considering that we are at a time where, you keep on hearing these messages about how this is ending, the new earth is here. The new earth is here, but it can't fully arrive until we make peace with letting go completely of the old and coming to terms with certain things. And this is what this window is really, allowing for. So, I'll be back probably tomorrow with another message, whether it's a blackout or a video, because I do have more downloads concerning something a little bit different. It's all interconnected always, but it's a little bit different. So I will hopefully see you guys tomorrow. And again, if you're interested in joining my group check-in session, where we're focusing a lot on this karmic family recovery today, or tomorrow's sun and moon, where we're looking at these contracts you had with your father and your mother, and how they are working towards your resurrection now, and the accessing of your true cosmological identity, all of that stuff. If you're interested in joining me for that, then the information for that also is in the description box below. If you'd like to join me on Substack, where I write daily on these energies, so there's no reason for you to be floundering in the wilderness, because literally I provide, daily guidance and, working through what's happening in these energies, as well as I share what's going on with me, because what's happening personally is always a reflection of what's happening collectively, and what's happening collectively is always a reflection of what is going on for us all internally too, individually. So I write every single day on Substack, sometimes a few times a day, through these windows. So please avail yourself of that, especially right now, as I have a summer rate offering of 33% off monthly and annual subscriptions. And if you join for a monthly subscription at that lower rate, it gets locked in for the year. And if you join annually at that lower rate, it gets locked in for life, for as long as I'm there on Substack. So avail yourself of these rates. I also have summer rates for my soul recovery 1-to-1 60 and 90-minute sessions. You can access information about that through my website. Also, you can email me if you're interested in booking a time slot with me. For those of you who have monthly subscriptions to my Substack, those summer rates are further discounted, because you naturally get a 10% discount off of all my soul recovery sessions. So please avail yourself of these resources if you're struggling. Okay? Yes. I thank you again for all your support. If you would like to extend more support to me, you can do so through my Ko-Fi and PayPal. And this is what helps me to show up and be in my energy so I can do what it is I've come here to do at this time of transition, and to help you all do that as well. So if you are able to, and if you're willing, or if you want to, or if you feel inspired to, you may do so that way. But your support is also exemplified through your self-healing. Okay, so that's ultimately, the most important thing for us all right now, is to focus in on that and to help one another how and where we can without martyring ourselves. Okay, so I'm sending you guys all so much love. I will see you again soon. Take care.